row, row, row your boat, and I was trying to get to sleep, and I thought, well, this isn't working, so maybe I could write a poem. And so the title here is probably going to be changed, but and let me know if there's a better one. But this one is titled, Dream is But a Life. The kind of dream that wakes you up, even when you're not sleeping. The deep sleep of driving for years, the same unseeable route to work, or an interstate trance when the same towns pass by. The exact sparrow in each rest area picking over French fries. It doesn't fly away when you walk past, so there's that. This morning, if this is still a dream, it smells oddly like diesel, mixed with a balsam pillow escaped from a gift shop that no longer exists. I gave up counting exits a long time ago and just hum along in the right lane at exactly the speed limit. Sometimes I think that funny engine knock is in my heart. What's funny is that it really is. The difference between a dream and the rest of life is like the distinction between dog and cat. Some people prefer one, some the other. But for most of us, it's both, like a road you can drive either way.
All right, so it turned out Dave was our opening act. We're going to have Roger come up now. I think that, just give me 2 seconds. I'm going to double check that it's going. Okay, Roger Mitchell is the author of 13 books of poetry. His newest book is As Water Moves. It was published by Dos Madres Press in 2023. He also has a collection of new and selected poems, Lemon Peeled the Moment Before. I love that title. That was published by Acebo Press. He's won several awards and fellowships. He's won a fellowship with the National Endowment for the Arts, the New York Foundation for the Arts. He's had a long, successful career as a poet, and he gave me a bio of like odd facts about himself. So I'll read a couple of those before he comes up to sort of set the stage for him. He won the Class B gold medal in downhill at the 1949 Lake Placid Winter Carnival. He's identified almost every kind of bird that passes through or resides in Monroe County, Indiana. He stood at the top of Mount Snowdon in Wales, the tallest mountain in the British Isles. He's walked down into an extinct volcano on Maui, and he can still recite his U.S. Army serial number from memory. Let's give a huge round of applause to Roger Mitchell.
Five 595 185. They made it easy for me. Okay. I want to put my glasses on. The first poem I want to read is called Strong Coffee, which I just had a cup of, by the way. Wonderful. This is when I grew up, the music of the time that appealed to me was jazz, and so I do mention some jazz. The modern jazz quartet, for one, and then Duke Ellington's famous alto sax, Johnny Hodges. But anyway, the poem is about something else. Strong coffee going upstream, slow jazz coming down, unmistakable Milt Jackson, the sun translucing his cool vibrato. Praise John Lewis, that philosopher of the interval, the one between the meaning and the meaning, slow to break open the chord, tireless in working out the calculus of feeling. You come away loosened a little along the fault line between the coastal shelf you came from, waving its sinuous underwater weed and the crumbling range of dust and hill you built your life on, incipient mudslide, that cactus ranch of choices made in the name of what somebody's mother knew well led to hell's spectacularly barnacled foyer. Oh yes, whoever she was, she made it possible over and over to be lifted. She brought Johnny Hodges directly up out of the bloodstream, stroking his velvet sax. I learned my mambo because she knew, but would not say where it would lead, but it led there, straight as whiskey in a straw. I thank my mambo for what she taught me with her silence. So what if I got there just as the band broke out in Fugazi's blues? I got there. Let me jump several years here and read the place we came ashore. My wife and I are, and she might be listening here. Hi, or watching, and listening. Anyway, we are about to celebrate our 30th anniversary. So anyway, this poem has a water bird in it called a black noddy, and it's set on a volcanic island in the Pacific that we'll call Maui. The small colony of black noddies tucked up into its cave, the way every time we go there, little spurts of cloud dust or shore mist spatter us, and on each of the narrow ledges up under the glowering volcanic cap, birdlime streaks downward in a floral exuberance. The sea comes heaving in on time every time, and the birds flap out now and again just above the top of it. Try as hard as we can to prevent it, they disappear into the light, shredding itself to pieces on the sea's back. I don't know why, when I think of it, I think this is the place love found us, away almost from our own nature, looking back up into the land as though from another world, as though this was the place we came ashore all those thousands of years ago, looking for what we would learn to call each other. Anyway. We now live up in Jay, New York, and as I say, at the back of a field on the outskirts of a hamlet, of the hamlet of Jay. And so anyway, when we were first there, we walked around to take a look at our neighborhood, and I came up with this thing called In a Field. Here's where the spring runoff passes through, flowing into a terrace of small ponds made by a beaver. 2 bitterns nest there, and a nightly aria of peeping frogs eases us into sleep. It's been raining every day. When the clouds rush at us over the mountains, we can almost time the slap of the first drop. The streams quiver and swirl with the excess. We stand and watch biceps of brown water curl over the rocks. Last night we went down into the village to look at the river, down where they built the first mill. The stone foundation still hugs the inside bank of the river's curve. Here was the heart of the original settlement. Today, fishermen cast around in the pools and washes, or if it's hot, people sit in the natural tubs, hammer themselves into numbness under an avalanche of drumming water. One evening, up the hill in back of us, miles from the village where there are now woods, some of them newly logged, beyond the last 2 or 3 small camps buried in the gloom, where the land crests and the first ridge reaches toward the height of the whole eastern side of the gouge made by the last glacier retreating into the Arctic, we came into a meadow of tall grass where 2 crabapples blossomed on the far side. And almost hidden under the alders and poplars, a rough wall of stones someone had dragged out of the way straggled along its edge. Nothing remains of the plain life this short meadow called into being. No stone tells us the year or the day, the name of any event, person, birth, or death. All we know is that people came to this place, and when they left, the trees grew to the edge and as though in dumb homage stopped. In our own field, the place at the back where they put the machines that broke for good, it's turned into a rough museum of ideas that once worked but now look exotic or quaint. The pitched bottles and cans fill up with mud, broken toys, rusted wire, most of an old Ford pickup. We're not sure where we are in this gradual collision of histories and landscapes, collage of molted lives and livelihoods. But the fox that hunts here often is glad for the birds and the field mice, likewise the hawks and owls. Though we know that once this valley wound through a thickness of pines and cedars higher than anything left, it's with something like regret that we watch the field slowly erase the marks of those who cleared it, and to farm it moved a wall of huge boulders into place along the back with no better tools than they who thousands of years ago raised the pyramids. It sounds like, an aria of ownership, but there is no ownership. That I realized, do I own the land I live on? Well, stop paying taxes and see what you find out. But I also want to read, because Joe is here tonight, a poem that I put together years ago in a book called Adirondack. And it's a book of what I call document poems. You find documents and trying to push them into a poem of some kind. And this is called Know Ye That We. It is a description of buying of land undertaken by 2 white settlers in 1772, buying it from members of the Mohawk Nation. I've taken certain liberties here, as you'll see. Know ye that we, and of course the people who are speaking here are the current Mohawk owners who have been asked to write this document and then sign it. Know ye that we of our right forever, fully and freely for a sum of money, absolutely and fully and forever for ourselves, and our nation forever at a public meeting, fully and freely and absolutely, grant, bargain, sell, release, convey, in fee-off, cede, dispose of, surrender, forever, all tract and tracts, all parcel and parcels, all quantity and quantities, and also all and singular the trees, and also all the woods and underwoods, the rivers, streams, and ponds, the creeks, rivulets, and brooks, and runs, all and each, as well as all flowages and seepages else, droplets of moisture, accumulations of dew, for which neither we nor the drafters of this deed can find name. The land which underlies the land, and that which underlies that land, and all, as deep as may be reached, water that shall fall from the sky, drizzle or deluge, air, motionless or not, which shall lie on this land, or pass across it, or cross and recross it, at whatever pace, according to its whim, up even to the furthest reach of the eye, and beyond, the light and the dark, and all gradations between them, dusk and dawn, and before them and after them both, the light at midsummer's midday, cloudless, midwinter's midnight, moonless, and the animals that walk thereon, of whatever sort and variety, the clumsy, swift-legged moose, the remotest vole, the beaver, the panther, the beetle, those that burrow, however deep, those that fly, however high or far, so long as they shall return, all manner of thing, forever, all aspect or quality, all attribute or way, fully and freely, so that in time to come, when we are asked for, they will not know what word to use. And it's signed by these four guys whose names were, in the native language, Taiahansara, Aguiraje, Kana de Jore, and Onagudhoge. But all four of them had Dutch names. Hendricks, alias Taiahansara, Lawrence, alias Aguiraje, Hans, alias Kana de Jore, Johans Krim, alias Onagudhoge, we of the Mohawk Castle. And 3 years later, there was a revolution. And I believe those guys were loyalists. So who knows? Anyway, I've been reading Ned Blackhawk recently. It's a book one should read. Okay, let's, there was a wonderful citizen of Bloomington when I lived there. If I can just find it. And I never got her name. And I have titled this poem Bag Lady, because I don't know what else to say or call her. Anyway, Bag Lady. I see her everywhere, disappearing into Soma, sitting at the back of Baskin Robbins, parked on a park bench. She's well brought up, says thank you, no, when offered money. After all, her shopping cart is full, all of whatever it is wrapped in plastic. She dresses well in hand-me-downs, of course, but these were handed down by ladies of unshakable taste who never had to dress in 2 wool suits, babushka, and a smile. She's so reserved I never say hello, just marvel at the two of us. Like her, I take my coffee black. I sit and think about how small life is, and yet how much it occupies the day, how many choices it extends, how much we throw away, and then it's time to go or leave. One cannot stay too long anywhere, even home, even if you have one. we have a dog. This is our second dog, and probably not our last dog. But anyway, we had a wonderful dog. And I want to read just a quick little thing called Dog Moon Turkey. Dog Moon Turkey. The thick gristle of the wing bone of the wild turkey lifting its gaggle off the ground, the dog in a hopeful ecstasy of chase. That's what I'd arrange to be tomorrow, if tomorrow were to choose me as target. A spill of bluets, little tiny blue flowers, bluets on the grass now, dropped last night by a moon carrying more milk than its bucket holds. The turkey thinks it's beautiful. The moon plays Jackson Pollock on the grass. The dog chases what it knows it can't catch. Of course. Don't we all? And this is another dog poem, same dog. His name was Harley. Well, anyway, last evening. I was out last evening with the dog and the wind and the light going down and the trees up in their branches beginning to sway. And the dog and I sat on the grass and let the air go by, plus whatever it is that air requires to be what it is. Transparency, most likely, insistence on being everywhere. It was soft and smooth, and the new spring leaves, lemon green in their newness, caught just enough of the wind to carry off the meaning of being anywhere but here on the grass beside a dog, taking as much of it in as we could and letting the rest, whatever it was, find other minds to tease. It seemed for a moment this was what we had, or were, a laze on the grass with a dog, and the wind sanding the air. It was like we were not there, that all the contraption of being was meant to help us see by first keeping us from seeing how pleasantly the wind stole and calmly the dog lay across the grass, and finally how succulently held in the mouth of the wind we and everything were. And here's, how am I doing, Carol?
You don't have no idea, so just do.
Okay. Okay, this is, I'm fascinated by dinosaurs. I think wild turkeys are living dinosaurs, are they not? I mean, I hear them called that. It may be true. This is a poem called Coltrane. This is not John Coltrane. This is C-O-A-L, Train. Anyway, I was in this town for a while and used to listen to this. Twice a day, the coal train slides through town. I like to count the cars, but after 50, lose my place. Then give it up, happy just to listen to the clip and clank the coal cars make. Each coal car topped with 19 tons of black bituminous debris. I'm only guessing at the tonnage. It doesn't matter if I'm off. It looks like 19 tons and sounds like more. Like someone turned the earth on, told it roll, that buried thunder, shake those aching bones. At 3 a.m., again, my pituitary starts to vibrate. Sleep slips off the shelf. They thought they'd sneak it past as dreams stuck on replay, as mountains turning over in their sleep. as a hum heard only by bats hanging by their wing claws in a cave too deep to spelunk too close to magma. This sluggish worm, segmented in a gastric rattle, rumbles down the valley to feed the tall stacks of the generating plant. The dinosaurs staggered to their death not far from here. Something must have watched it too. Though what? A mountain melt into the sea? A drained ocean give up its eyeless jellies? Or just the stumble and collapse of bodies? What form the watcher took, rodent or bird, serpent or mole, maybe it too stood here dreaming, trying not to see what it saw. This is called an old image from when I was a boy. Two boys in leggings, the kind wrapped around the calves of soldiers in the First World War. Officers had leather boots in that war. Privates and non-coms, cloth leggings instead. Facing each other at ease in a foxhole, their helmets on the ground beside them, one foot bared, its big toe stuck in the trigger guard on of the rifle each had been trained to fire, the working ends of which rested under their chins. They were Nisi, Japanese-American boys, who volunteered to fight Japan, anything to escape the relocation camp they'd been thrown into. A photo taken on Guadalcanal in 1942 and printed, no comment, in every American paper, which every boy in America could stare at and see the point of, that it wouldn't matter that the mothers of these boys might also one day see their sons dead in a hole, caught going AWOL forever, squeezed between two world orders neither could abide. Let me end with this poem here. Boop, boop, boop. I got it. Oh, shit. It is called A Train at Night. I pick a seat on the waterside, a window onto what will only be strings of scattered lights across the river, little shoreline shacks with docks, or up on the bluffs or the setback slopes, small squares of white from the picture windows of the 50s. The river whispers to itself nearby, invisible, moving in 100 layers on its single persistent, widening downward trestle to the harbor and the seaward currents, and the scavenging winds like those I sometimes hear above the house in the broken spruces and pines, snapping branches are clacking like mating gannets, trees that have been there longer than people, those who thought living under the ridge or above it might be the right place to assemble their bones. I love the lives of other people, and when asked if the seat next to me is vacant, say of course, but dive down into the river of argument, stream of narrative I'm in, wondering if this might be enough books to have poured over for the clues to the silence. I sneak a look at the book my neighbor has hauled out of his pack, at his face too. I can't read either, one of the bright fingerlings swarming toward the world. I sit silently beside him and his open book, looking at the window. In it my face shadowed, a few sleeping bodies across the aisle, a glint of light on the river, the mountains I don't need to see to know they're there. Remote presences lean away from us, lure us with silence and distance, closed as an unread book. The conductors doze between stops now, the last stop, its rows of wooden houses and high-backed shops flush to the walkways, named for the river it sits by, the Hudson, of course. 3 people get off under orange light and walk separately up the hill and into the dark. 20 minutes away from the last station, and the engineer, nearly delirious, lays long wails of the horn trailing over the valley, though somebody's driving a car alongside us, an escort maybe, a pilot ship, a guide. We slide like a boa into the station, each lugging something ourselves, as though in a mine shaft, up a steep set of stairs to the cars, and for me, a long drive into the mountains, the towns peeling away till the road is mine and a new day slips past the old one, past the sleeping hamlets and farms. The snow by the side of the road still where it was yesterday morning, though someone is spending the night up on the side of Giant, the car parked by the road, for a morning scramble to the top to greet the sun. Thank you very much.
Roger Mitchell, that was beautiful.